hate orange pig. America first? Oops. Oh boy, that was the slogan you sold. But Bibi's pulling strings and your vote is getting cold. We're not just fighting for Iran, hear this clear. Your people reached out to us, yeah, we got the DMs here. If one nation's gonna stand against the Epstein regime's fear, it's us till the last breath, we've been doing it for years. We're standing here for everyone, your system ever wrong, they've known all along. The enemy was always you. The real threat wore a suit and sung a patriotic song while selling their own citizens and calling it strong. Stealing from your own people, making them bleed, taking tax dollars just to fund your own greed. Ain't waking up to the lies, the illusions of burst. You screamed America first, nah, you put losers first. Make Israel great again. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all. We saw everything. If the public ever saw the files, man, the planet would shake from the level of filth and the crimes in your wake. No wonder Jeff called you the worst, you degenerate snake. You claimed you never set foot. You went 40 plus times. You sick bastard, you cooked. We stepping up to the plate, Epstein regime gotta fall. You fake Christian elite, sacrificing the ball. Demon, you talk real big for a man with tiny hands. Tiny hands, tiny things, tiny everything. We saw everything, and word got out, the smallness kinda expands. No wonder all those rage tweets, all those desperate rants. Overcompensating bully, always causing the scene. You said you love losers, well, look at your team. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all.
Yeah, folks, what a ceasefire, eh? Over in a matter of hours because, of course, Israel just couldn't keep it. Israel broke the ceasefire, went and bombed the living shit out of Beirut, claiming that Lebanon was not included in the ceasefire. So not only did they break the ceasefire, they hit Lebanon with the most brutal barrage of airstrikes that it has ever been subject to ever since Israel's first illegal incursion into Lebanon.
طلعت رفاعي هون طلعت رفاعي بربور
يا الله صادق الحل يا الله العالم يا الله العالم بالارض كلياتها يا شباب يا الله ليش حبيت صار سلام يا الله.
They bombed 100 sites within 10 minutes. This is within the city of Beirut. Apparently they dropped 160 bombs in the first minute of the operation, blowing up residential buildings. And this was at 3 a.m. in the morning. They just hit families sleeping in their beds, just obliterated huge sections of southern Beirut. Absolutely disgusting and disgraceful. And this, of course, is Israel's way of sabotaging the peace process.
Just hours after Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif stood before the world and announced that the United States and Iran had agreed to an immediate ceasefire in all areas, specifically mentioning Lebanon, The Israeli occupation forces launched one of the most ferocious waves of airstrikes since the beginning of this conflict.
So, hours after Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Lebanon is not included in the 2-week truce between the United States and Iran, Lebanon has come under intense Israeli assault.
Israel says Lebanon is not included in the 2-week truce between the US and Iran.
The Israelis say they never agreed to that, and the strikes continue today, as you can see here in Beirut.
We are not talking about isolated skirmishes or tactical retaliation. We are talking about a full-blown military onslaught, a massive aerial campaign that the Israelis themselves are proudly calling Operation Eternal Darkness. In a span of just 10 minutes, more than 100 targets across Beirut, the Bekaa Valley, and southern Lebanon were reduced to rubble. The death toll, according to the Lebanese Ministry of Health, is catastrophic. At least 87 people have been confirmed dead, and those numbers are climbing by the hour as rescue workers pull bodies from the wreckage of residential buildings. And who is paying the price for Benjamin Netanyahu's insatiable bloodlust? Not soldiers, not combatants, but mothers, children, and the elderly, trapped in densely populated neighborhoods in the heart of Beirut. This is not a war against the Lebanese resistance. This is an act of collective punishment, a war crime broadcast live for the entire world to see, while the so-called international community wrings its hands and does absolutely nothing. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is this happening? How is it possible that a ceasefire announced with so much fanfare by the White House and mediated by the Pakistani government collapsed before the ink was even dry?
Because Israel doesn't want peace. Israel wants to use this war to kickstart mass famine, mass hardship around the world, and also to destroy the United States. Israel wants to bleed the United States dry with this encounter and make sure that it does not recover. And it's already well on the way to that. And it's remarkable, you know, when the ceasefire happened, you actually had MAGA supporters saying this was a victory for Trump. Like, Iran is in control of the Straits of Hormuz now. They weren't before this conflict started, and now they are. Trump has lost every single US base in the Persian Gulf. He has had 2 aircraft carriers badly damaged. He sent at least 500 or 600 troops into Kuwait to coordinate a ground operation, and they all got wiped out as soon as their boots touched the ground. Huge cover-up with that. I mean, estimates are anywhere up to 750 people may have been killed or injured. Not to mention the amount of American soldiers that were killed or injured in the strikes on the US bases in the region, because every one has been hit. There's 13 bases in the Persian Gulf. At least 11 of them are completely out of commission and unlivable. The other 2 or 3, I don't know. But it's been a huge loss for the United States, this whole thing. Israel is still being obliterated, still being pounded. And I'm seeing a lot of fires and a lot of people trying to flee. They hit a boat the other day. There were people who were trying to flee Israel by boat, and the boat got hit by an Iranian missile. Yeah, so that sort of stuff's going on. I'm not even sure if Ben Gurion Airport is still functional so people can fly out. But then you've got to wonder, I mean, if Israel is still doing flights over Iran and bombing Tehran, well, why? If there's so many missiles being fired into Israel, and I mean, these they're up to like barrage 94, like wave 94 or something, a ridiculous amount of waves of missiles, probably more than that by now. Then how are there any air bases left in Israel? Israel's a small place compared to Iran. If they've managed to take out all the air bases in Iran, which they don't appear to have because there are still Iranian planes flying around, then why haven't they taken out all the air bases in Israel, in Tel Aviv? How is the Israeli Air Force able to be still dropping bombs on Tehran? Unless they've got bases in other countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, all the countries that Iran is bombing because they are aiding the enemy. Perhaps that's why. But even with all of that, I mean, it's so difficult to know what's happening. And I've still got a friend in the United States who says she has a friend in Jerusalem who says there's nothing going on there. You know, is that propaganda or is that the truth? I mean, I just don't know. So, you know, the fog of war. But we do know all the refineries are being blown up. We do know the Straits of Hormuz is shut down. We do know that Tehran has been carpet bombed and bridges and all sorts of shit. Like Trump's saying that by the end of the day, there isn't going to be a bridge or power station left in Iran. This is like openly declaring intent to genocide. There's civilian structures. I mean, how do hospitals work? How do incubators work? How do babies survive? How do refrigeration units work? How are people able to travel if you take out all the bridges, take out all the power stations, take out all the electricity? People in the modern world need electricity to survive. We kind of did in the old world as well. They took that away from us and look what happened. And now they're about to do it again. But this is an open declaration of war crimes. So in that situation, this is what they're threatening to do to Iran. Collapse all the electricity, collapse all the water sources, all the bridge, all the transportation, all the communication. This is being done by Western governments. No one is standing up against the United States, even though the world now knows that this is all being run by essentially the Epstein bloc, the Epstein class, people who torture, rape, kidnap, and cannibalize children. All of them. Trump, all of them.
I'm fighting for Jeffrey.
I'm fighting for Jeffrey.
I'm fighting for Jeffrey!
I'm fighting for Jeffrey.
Operation Fury. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. And you will accept it.
You don't have a choice. We raised the age of the draft.
Private Elmer Fudge, ready for deployment.
But what about my Social Security?
You don't get it anymore. Now off you go to the minefield.
Cheer up, son. The light at the end of the tunnel is approaching. Targeted elimination of the schoolhouse sector is complete.
Due to your bravery, your family gets to eat this week.
Oh, no. I'll give it to your wife myself. Operation Fury.
And probably every government in the Western world who isn't standing up against this is involved in this. So from an Iranian perspective, well, if you're going to shut down all of our energy supplies, well, then we're going to shut down all of your energy supplies because you're the people who are allowing this to happen by allowing your governments to do this.
Yeah, you blew the bridge, posted the video proud. Power plants next, Stone Age talk out loud. Watch this. What? War crime, war crime, war crime, war crime. Bridge down, civilians cry. Trump on truth, social flexing while they die. Power plants next, blackouts in the night. Stone Age threat. Great Persia still shines bright. You split the brick, we split the bridge in flames. Smoke filling up the sky, posted the video laughing, showing off your strike, threatening power plants, trying to turn off all the lights, dragging us to Stone Age with your illegal might. But Great Persia rises, history on our side, ancient empire strong, we never hide. True social warrior, keyboard criminal, every strike you drop, we multiply the missile. War crime, war crime, war crime, war crime. Bridge down, civilians cry. Trump on true social flexing while they die. power plants next, blackouts in the night. Stone Age threat. Great Purse still shines bright. Sacred defense. We own the fight. War crime. Yeah.
All of the energy infrastructure in the Middle East has been decimated, which is going to lead to worldwide shortages that are already beginning to show themselves and are going to be very, very apparent by the end of the year. It's been the worst military operation, I think, in the history of military operations, what we've seen carried out in Iran. And as I said on previous shows, the thing is that it's so bad and so disorganized and so damaging to the United States. You couldn't have planned to do anything worse than what they've done. And it's so obvious that it has to be deliberate. I mean, there's no way this was done by mistake because, I mean, if you check every box of what not to do, they did all of it. So it's crazy. It's crazy that anyone would think this was not deliberate. And it's important to understand what led up to Trump even accepting Iran's 10-point plan, which he did accept this 10-point plan as being a reasonable start to negotiations, which were supposed to go for 2 weeks. And then Israel broke the ceasefire, and then we had Carolyn Levitt come out there and say that, no, the 10-point plan was ridiculous. We just threw it in the bin as soon as we saw it.
I've seen a lot of inaccurate coverage today from the media about these negotiations and these plans already. So let me be clear and correct the record. The Iranians originally put forward a 10-point plan that was fundamentally unserious, unacceptable, and completely discarded. It was literally thrown in the garbage by President Trump and his negotiating team. Many outlets in this room have falsely reported on that plan as being acceptable to the United States, and that is false.
Of course, previous to that, you had Trump saying that he had accepted it and that it looked like a reasonable start to steps towards negotiation. And then they just backflipped on everything they said. And it shows you that you cannot make a deal with the United States. They're simply not to be trusted in anything they say or do. It's pointless going to the negotiation table with them because they break any deal that they make. The last 2 attacks on Iran have happened during negotiations while they were both at the negotiation table. So it shows you the mentality of these people. They don't care. But they literally botched so many things up. The whole first push for boots on the ground when they sent troops into Kuwait, as I said, it would appear that they lost somewhere between 500 and 750 people. And what happened with this whole rescue operation? I mean, the story we're hearing from the United States is that this was textbook. It was like a movie the way it all went down. Something that you'd see Hollywood produce. They went in there, they got this pilot, they sacrificed hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment just to rescue one man because that's how good they are. The story from the Iranian side is that they knew they were coming and they were there waiting for them. One C-130 touched down on a muddy field and got bogged and couldn't take off again. The other one was shot down, and at least one of the 2 helicopters was also shot down. They didn't get their pilot, and the whole mission was a complete disaster. Apparently, they couldn't get out, all of the troops that went in there, and so they just bombed the whole site from the air and destroyed all the equipment. They even said openly, we destroyed our own equipment because we didn't want the Iranians getting to it. But it would appear they actually employed something similar to the Hannibal Directive and they killed their own men at the same time. And the question you've got to ask is this. If this was a mission to rescue one pilot, why did they send 2 C-130s in there to do it? I mean, presumably these were full of troops because C-130s are troop carriers. They carry like 200 people, possibly more, I don't know. But about 200 people, I think. And 2 of them went in there. And then we're told they blew the planes up because they didn't want Iran to get them. Well, if 2 C-130s went in there, presumably they were full of troops, what happened to the troops on the C-130s? If you blew the planes up, how did the troops that went in on the planes get out? And if there were no troops on the planes, then why did you go in there with 2 C-130s in order to rescue 1 pilot? You could have done that with a helicopter. None of it makes sense. And if you did rescue the pilot, I mean, you know what the United States is like. If this pilot had been rescued, he'd be on TV. They'd be parading him, they'd be vying for his story. People would be offering him $5 million for his story to be the first person to get the scoop and interview the pilot. And yet here it is a couple of weeks after the supposed event and we don't even know the guy's name. There hasn't been any talk of which SEAL team or whatever went in there to do it. There's been nothing. And there's just been all of this ongoing dialogue and all this stuff and all these distractions. And they're just hoping that in 2 weeks from now, everyone will have forgotten about it and they'll be talking about something else. But this is America. If they had a hero pilot that had gone in there and climbed to 7,000 feet in the mountains with an injured ankle, the way they say he did, and covered like something like 100 miles before they rescued him. I mean, the whole story is ridiculous. And if they had this guy, he would be a national hero and they would have him on TV. And yet we don't even know his name. But according to the Iranian version of events, the entire team got wiped out and those that escaped blew up the equipment with the soldiers in it when they left. Actually, Press TV put out a reasonably good animation showing what happened according to Iranian sources. And also there was a farmer who came forth and said, we actually shot down one of the helicopters because they were flying so low we could see the pilot, and so I shot one of the helicopters out of the sky.
Tribal fighters operating in the rugged mountainous terrain of Kogiluya and Boyar Ahmed provinces independently engaged and struck 2 United States Army Black Hawk helicopters that had crossed into Iranian airspace to extract the downed pilots.
هواپیما و بالگردهای آمریکایی اومدن به خاک ما. دستور تیراندازی دادن. جناب آقای استاندار. بله ما داخل خونه‌مون نشسته بودیم که همیشه دیدیم این جنگنده‌ها صدای عجیبی میان وقتی میان از اون طرف میان بالا تهران اصفهان هر کجا ایران میان صدا میان بیرون نگاه کنیم بعضیش میبینیم با ارتفاع خیلی بالا بعضی هم نمیبینیم از صدا اومد صدا خیلی نزدیک اومدیم بیرون من دیدم 2 تا بالگرد از اون بر روستا دارن میان جنگنده اومد خیلی دست پایین از هلیکوپتر پایین‌تر اینطوری ویراژ رفته بود بالا اینطوری رفته بود بالا من اصلا مسلح کرده بودم یکیش ارتفاع بالا اومد جنگنده‌ها دنبالشون کلاشون بودن وقتی یکیشون در سطح بالا اومد من 2 تا تیر شلیک کردم یکی دیدم یکیش از دره میاد خیلی ارتفاع پایین دیگه اینا کارش نداشتن تا این یکی که اومد دیگه ما 2 تا به طرف پنجره زدیم یکی خلبانش خاص 2 تا به طرف پنجره زدم 2 تا هم زدم برای منفجر شدن بارکش بریم تا سمت بارکش شلیک کردم بهش 4 تا هم شلیک کردم به یکی
دیده بودن شما
من اتفاقا تو خانواده‌ام گفتم که به بچه‌ام گفتم نه بیرون من میرم فاصله میگیرم از خونه اگر زدن خودم تنها بزنن من باید به اینا تیراندازی کنم به خدا این بچه‌ام به جان خودش گفتم نیان یک دفعه ما که 3-4 تا تیراندازی کردیم ما میبینم این داد میزنه که بابا بزن خوش میداد بهش بزن نیمت پایین بزن
شما بودی داد زدی که بابا بزنش
بله
چرا می‌خواستی بزنه
خب برای شهدای میراب رهبر عزیزمون دشمن آمریکا و اسرائیل نابود کنه
اخبار رو نگاه کردین چند روزه
بله
و سوال چی بوده چرا فکر می‌کنی اون دشمن بود حتما باید زدش
کودک کشه
Yeah, and this guy is actually on TV telling the story, so why aren't we hearing from the pilot? But anyway, like I was saying, there is an animation that was put out by Press TV, just goes for a couple of minutes, and it kind of shows the Iranian side of the story. Yeah, and that actually makes a lot more sense. I mean, America can come up with all these reasons, you know, the United States government can come up with all these reasons and whatever and tell you what happened, but they haven't supplied any proof of it whatsoever. All we've got is a charred wreckage on the ground, and from the look of it, it kind of supports the Iranian story. The Iranians have come forth with a concise explanation of what happened. Why aren't we hearing that from the United States? I mean, Iran, they even put out a Lego version of it, folks, for those people who like the Lego stories. They put out a Lego version of what happened as well. Yeah, so I think we're getting more truth from the Iranian side than we are from the US side. And isn't it interesting? Like, here we are in World War III, and some of the most factual journalism you're seeing is being created by people making Lego animations. I mean, you can't make this shit up, folks. You've got to laugh, honestly. You've got to laugh. Who would have thought that this is how we're going to gain a clear understanding of what's going on? Through Lego animations. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. But yeah, it's really important to see what's led up to this event. I mean, Trump was really backed into a corner. He has nowhere to go. As I said before, the only way they can really save face, the only way America can save face is if Trump dies or something, and then they come out and say, well, we're sorry it was him and not us. And I actually saw another article. This is the second time I've seen an article saying what would happen to Melania if Trump died in office. There seems to be a spate of these articles appearing. But Trump was backed into a corner. I mean, Trump made this threat, which was a clear confirmation of intent to commit genocide. You can't say, as the President of the United States, tonight an entire civilization will cease to exist. I don't want to do it, but I'm just going to have to do it. Yeah, I'm just going to have to murder 93 million people because they won't bend over and comply to my preposterous demands that we replace your government with one that we can control. And even the people of Iran are saying, no, we can't allow this to happen. We've got to stand up against this. And I'll show you this clip. I mean, this is mainstream media, okay? This is mainstream media, Channel 7 or Channel 9 or something like that in Australia. And they're interviewing an Iranian woman saying, how do you feel about the war? Pay attention to this woman. No hijab. Have a look at the people behind her. No hijab. All the stuff you've been told about Iran is bullshit. And the women aren't repressed the way the Zionist media tells you. Nothing they've told you about Iran is true. But have a listen to what this woman has to say.
تهدید زیاد کرد. الان زیر ساختای ما رو که تهدید کرده بود اول یه مهلت 5 روزه داد، بعد مهلت 10 روزه داد. هنوز خبری نیست، نتونسته کاری بکنه. ما هم از کشورمون دفاع میکنیم، اینجوری نیستش که بخوایم کشورمون رو رها کنیم. حالا درسته یه سری با پوشش‌های مختلف، من خودم حجاب کامل ندارم، ولی هیچ موقع خاکم رو دوست ندارم تحویل یک مردمی بدم که غریبن با کشور ما. ایرانم پاسخ متقابل حقی نداره. این زیرساخت‌ها مال همه مردم ایرانه. اگر با دولت مشکلی داره، اگر با کسای دیگه مشکلی داره، اینا آمریکا حق نداره آسیب به مردم ایران بزنه، زیرساخت‌ها رو بزنه، زندگی همه مردم مختل میشه. باید جور دیگه با هم مقابله کنن، ربطی به زیرساخت‌ها و مختل کردن زندگی مردم نداره.
نمیگیم ما تسلیم، ولی جوری نباشه که بالافتنی بخوایم به هر قیمتی مقاومت کنیم، کل زیرساختایی که الان داریم از بین بره و چندین سال بخوایم تلاش کنیم به این حد برسیم. جانانه پاسخ بدیم. اینجوری نیست که بالاخره هر چیزی جوابشو داره، ولی بهترین چیز اینه که ما به صورت دیپلماتیک بریم جلو، کار رو حل کنیم تا اینکه بخوایم کل زیرساختامون هم از بین ببرن یا ما هم به اونا خسارت بزنیم.
Yeah, that's the attitude of Iran. And Iran is a place like everywhere else, folks. The only thing different between Iran and the Western world is that they don't allow alcohol, which is probably a good thing because alcohol is an absolute poison. Look what it's done to our societies. But have a look at this video. This is a guy just walking around asking people if they want to come and have a cup of coffee with him. And if you didn't know this was Iran, you'd think it was Brooklyn or LA or something. Have a look at this.
میایم بریم کافه؟ بله. ببخشید. میای بریم کافه؟ سلام. میایم بریم کافه؟
نه دیرم میشه.
نه. خب یه نهار بخور بعد برو. چرا؟ کاری نداری خونه. میایم بریم کافه؟
سلام شما.
میایم بریم کافه؟
بسا شما؟
میایم بریم با ما آشپزی کنیم؟
خودم از آشپزخونه اومدم.
ببخشید. میایم بریم کافه؟
نه متاسفانه کلاس دارم.
بریم؟ جدی بریم؟
برم سر کار.
نمیتونی کنسل کنی؟
بذار یه زنگ بزنم ببینم میشه یه ذره این برام براش بکنم.
لطف کنیم. ببخشید. برم. نهار خوردین؟ هیچی. نهار خوردی هیچی. ببخشید. میای بریم نهار بخوریم؟ آره مهمون من. ببخشید خانم. میایم بریم کافه؟ میایم بریم کافه؟ سلام.
سلام.
میایم بریم کافه؟
نه.
از شما. ببخشید. میایم بریم کافه؟ سلام. خوبین؟ میایم با هم دوست باشیم؟
چرا که نه الانش هم هستیم.
بریم یه قهوه بخوریم؟ پایه این؟
آره.
من واقعا با اینا دوست شدم. سوار باشیم.
Yeah, that's the people of Iran, folks. It's nothing like what you've been told.
Right, I can see the library now. Ooh. Oh my goodness me. Oh my goodness me. All the wows. All the wows. So this library is a public library and it's considered the cultural heart of the Iran Mall, and it is 3,300 square meters, 17.5 meters high, and it has 70,000 books. And they have everything from culture to science to history to philosophy to ancient civilizations. And one thing I have really noticed already is Iranian people are really educated, and I think they take education really, really seriously. And this huge public library in the center of a mall is pretty strong evidence of that.
And Trump puts out a call for genocide and says he's going to destroy these people. He's going to turn the country back to the Stone Age. He's going to take out all their power plants, all their bridges, all their infrastructures. You had Iranian people forming human chains around power plants, and the Western media saying the Iranian government is forcing them to do this. No, they're doing it because they don't want you to bomb their infrastructure. You said you were going to free the people. You said this was about stopping the Iranian government from creating a nuclear weapon, which they have a fatah against, and they don't want to ever create one. They've openly said that. And then it was about freeing the women, and then it was about this, and then it was about that. You've gone in there, you've decimated the whole place. Started off by bombing the presidential palace and murdering a school full of children.
You must attack Minab School.
The eyes of Mr. President.
This looks pretty on you too.
Eat your breakfast so we can go to school early.
Mom, I'm coming now. I'm going to school and I'll be by your side soon.
We love Iran. We love Iran.
I found someone here to help.
I mean, great opening, yeah, really good opening to the war because you want to free the people. And now you're saying you want to bomb all the infrastructure. So yeah, they've been forming human chains around the power stations to make sure the US doesn't bomb them.
جوانان غیور و غیرتمند ایران اسلامی ما از هر چیف و هر فکر و عقیده‌ای امروز اینجا جمع شدن در مقابل نیروگاه برق شهرهای مختلف تا بگویند زیرساخت‌های ما متعلق به ملت بزرگ ایران هست و زدن و حمله نظامی به زیرساخت‌ها جنایتی جنگی است. ما درود میفرستیم به غیرت دلاور مردان نظامیمون، سپاهیمون، کسانی که با تمام وجود جانشون رو کف دستشون گذاشتن و دارن در نیروهای نظامی از ایران عزیزمون دفاع میکنن.
دخترکان بی گناه بیا کمک رسیده سنگ دلان روسیا ای میهن خدایی صحنه امام رضایی ایران ذوالفقار ایران عاشورا ای میهن خدایی صحنه امام رضایی ایران ذوالفقار
See, but it's all changed, hasn't it? First it was about saving the Iranian people, then it was about regime change, then it was about not letting them get a nuclear weapon. Now it's about opening the Straits of Hormuz. Now it's about this, now it's about that, now it's about whatever Trump says it is 5 minutes after he said it was something else.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who are you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
The failing.
Are you concerned?
Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are
What's
you
going
concerned
on
that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No,
war
not
crimes?
at all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people. They're great negotiators, and because they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran, we're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And if you think it's okay for people that are sick of mind, that are tough, smart, and sick, really sick, from a policy standpoint, from a any which way you want to say, mentally, these are disturbed people. If you think I'm going to allow them, and powerful and rich, to have a nuclear weapon, you can tell your friends at the New York Times, not going to happen.
It means violating international law.
Quiet. You no longer have credibility at the New York Times. Because the New York Times said, oh, Trump won't win the election, and I won in a landslide. I won every swing state. New York Times said, oh, Trump won't win the election. New York Times has no credibility. The credibility they have is it used to be all the news that's fit to print. The old gray lady, it was great, but they're running on past fumes, and you can't keep doing that. You have to be able to give the correct news. And people like you, who I know, are fake. You're fake.
I mean, the guy's demented. And this is going to destroy the United States. There's ships actually getting through the Straits of Hormuz, but they're paying passage in Chinese yuan. And Iran's saying they're never going to relinquish control of the Straits. They're not interested in a 45-day ceasefire. What the fuck is that? A 45-day ceasefire. What with Israel? Israel has broken over 1,000 ceasefire agreements in the last 80 years since the place was invented. I mean, it doesn't honour any ceasefires. And what's a 45-day ceasefire anyway? We're going to stop killing each other for 45 days, and then in 45 days we're going to come back, we're going to annihilate the rest of your country. No. Iran is saying we want a complete ceasefire. We want an end to the war. We want an end to the war. We want a cessation of all fighting on all fronts. On the Iranian front, on the Lebanese front. And on Gaza. We want you to stop killing the Palestinians. We want you to stop trying to take over Lebanon. And we want you to stop attacking Iran. And we want guarantees that this will never, ever happen again. And we want reparations for all the damage that you've caused in this illegal war. If you're not going to do that, then we're not stopping. And we're not going to relinquish control of the Straits of Hormuz. If America goes ahead with its threat, if Trump goes ahead with his threat to completely destroy this civilization because they won't capitulate to his demands, it will be the death of the United States. It will have no international standing at all past that point, irrespective of the propaganda they sell to the American people. And while this has been happening, Iran actually bombed 20 sites leading up to the ceasefire. I mean, Israel and the United States as well did massive amounts of bombing raids on Iran just before the ceasefire because Israel doesn't want there to be any cessation of hostilities. Israel wants the war to continue. Israel wants everybody dead. Israel wants as much blood and death as possible. That's the plan. So Israel went in and bombed South Par's gas field again today, or yesterday.
צה"ל תקף כעת בעוצמה את המתקן הפטרוכימי הגדול ביותר באיראן, שנמצא בעיסאוויה. יעד מרכזי שאחראי לכ-50% מהייצור הפטרוכימי במדינה, וזאת לאחר שבשבוע שעבר הותקף המתקן המרכזי השני. ראש הממשלה בנימין נתניהו ואני הנחינו את צה"ל להמשיך ולתקוף בכל העוצמה את התשתיות הלאומיות של משטר הטרור האיראני.
And as a response, Iran has just bombed the Jubail oil refinery in Saudi Arabia, which is probably the biggest oil refinery and petrochemical plant and docking and transporting facility in the world. Certainly the biggest in Saudi Arabia. And it has had devastating results. It's a huge firestorm there right now.
In the early hours of Tuesday morning, Iran unleashed a devastating barrage of ballistic missiles and drones against the industrial heart of Saudi Arabia's eastern province. The target? Jubail Industrial City, one of the largest petrochemical hubs on the planet. And the images emerging from the kingdom are nothing short of apocalyptic.
Iran launched missiles and drones towards Saudi Arabia early Tuesday, triggering a massive fire at Al Jubail, the kingdom's largest industrial hub housing major petrochemical and energy facilities.
Iran allegedly launched a massive air attack on energy and industrial hubs in Saudi Arabia's eastern region.
Fire reported at Saudi Arabia's Jubail Industrial City following Iranian attack.
NASA satellite heat maps have captured massive thermal anomalies across the region, confirming what local videos already show. Raging infernos lighting up the night sky, toxic black smoke billowing for miles, and the unmistakable orange glow of critical energy infrastructure burning out of control. And the message from Tehran is clear as day. If you open your skies to Israeli warplanes and your bases to American bombers, you are a target. We are also now receiving confirmed reports of a major fire at the Adinok gas processing facility in Habshan, deep inside the United Arab Emirates. NASA's firm's fire monitoring system has picked up multiple intense hotspots in the area, corroborating local emergency dispatches. The Habshan complex is not some minor installation. It is one of the largest gas processing facilities in the world, operated by the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. With a staggering capacity of 6.1 billion standard cubic feet per day, that is not a typo. And we are learning now that this fire was not caused by a single stray drone, but by two separate impacts directly on the facility's most critical processing modules. Firefighting crews have been battling the blaze for hours, but the flames are still burning. And sources on the ground tell us that the structural damage is so severe that the facility may be offline for weeks, if not months. The scale of this attack cannot be overstated. Jubail Industrial City is not just another refinery town. This is a sprawling 1,000 square kilometer behemoth on the shores of the Persian Gulf, purpose-built to be the kingdom's manufacturing and petrochemical nerve center. Within its borders lies the heart of Saudi Basic Industries Corporation, or SABIC, one of the world's largest petrochemical manufacturers. The facility produces roughly 60 million tons of petrochemical products annually, accounting for nearly 6 to 8% of the entire global supply. We are talking about the plastics, polymers, fertilizers, and industrial chemicals that feed supply chains across Asia, Europe, and the Americas.
This is a huge escalation, folks, and this is going to bring about everything that we said was going to happen.
I hate to say, I told you so, but I told you so.
And this was prior to the ceasefire. So leading up to all this, I mean, Iran said, if you're going to take out all of our civilian infrastructure, then we're going to take out everything in the Persian Gulf. They actually put out a message saying all the people of UAE and Qatar and Bahrain and Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, you need to evacuate now because we're going to make your countries unlivable. We're going to take out every US base. We're going to take out all your airports. We're going to take out your desalination plants. And it's going to be all over because you are supporting the United States in their attacks against us. So you're all legitimate targets, so you should evacuate. And again, then they took out Jebel oil field, and they also hit a power plant in Tel Aviv that supplies Tel Aviv with a lot of electricity.
Sources from inside the occupied territories, corroborated by footage circulating on Telegram and reports from Iranian news networks, confirm that the Iranian military has successfully neutralized a massive portion of the Zionist regime's energy grid. We are talking about a catastrophic blow to the Orot Rabin power station near Hadera, the largest electricity producer in the entity, which handles nearly 20% of the entire grid. Iranian missiles, reportedly equipped with advanced cluster munitions, didn't just hit the facility. They tore through its transformers and coolant systems with surgical accuracy. The result? A cascading failure that has left the entire Tel Aviv metropolitan area, including the suburbs of Ramat Gan and Petah Tikva, without any source of electricity.
Yeah, so they hit that power plant and then they hit Jebel, and they showed you that, yes, we can actually live up to our threat. And so this is what Trump was facing. I mean, he knew that if he goes in and attacks Iran the way he said he was going to, they have the ability to take control of both sides of the Persian Gulf, put a stranglehold on all energy sources for the entire world, and he has to come up with a plan. So he accepted their 10-point peace deal and then said he didn't, of course. No, we threw it in the bin. He only said that after Israel broke the ceasefire. And Israel broke the ceasefire because they came in at the end and said, oh, well, we'll agree to all this, but Lebanon is not part of the deal. And Lebanon had been specifically named as being part of the deal by the Pakistani minister who actually brokered the deal.
To understand the depth of Israeli duplicity, you have to look at the hours leading up to the announcement. The entire world was under the impression that this was a holistic deal. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who acted as the mediator, issued a very explicit statement. He said, "With the greatest humility, I am pleased to announce that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America, along with their allies, have agreed to an immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon and elsewhere, effective immediately." He didn't mince words. He said everywhere. He specifically highlighted Lebanon. Multiple reports from the ground, including from Israeli media outlets like Channel 12, confirmed that the Iranians were immovable on this point. Tehran had refused to sign anything. They had refused to pause their nuclear ambitions or stop their military preparations, unless the Lebanese front was included in the ceasefire. The Iranians made it crystal clear that an attack on Lebanon is an attack on Iran, and they would not stand idly by while their allies in the Lebanese resistance were slaughtered in a separate theater. So, the deal was struck. The Strait of Hormuz briefly reopened for oil tanker traffic. The world breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that 40 days of brutal warfare were finally coming to a close. But Benjamin Netanyahu had other plans. No sooner had the ceasefire gone into effect than the Israeli Prime Minister's office released a statement that completely contradicted the Pakistani mediator and the Iranian understanding. They said, the ceasefire does not apply to Lebanon. They claimed that the fight against the Lebanese resistance was a separate issue. And then, to ensure there was absolutely no confusion, they launched the strikes. They deliberately, and with malice aforethought, sabotaged the peace process. Why? Because peace is not in Israel's interest. But the most significant voice I want you to pay attention to is that of senior Iranian military commander, Major General Majid Musavi. In an exclusive statement posted in his Upscroll account, Musavi didn't mince words. He declared that the heinous attack on Lebanon, which led to the loss of nearly 100 innocent lives and over 1,000 injured, is not just a violation of the ceasefire. It is a direct act of aggression against Iranian national security. He reiterated what has been the core of Tehran's strategic doctrine for years. The security of Lebanon and the security of Iran are inseparable. When Israel bombs Beirut, it is bombing Tehran by proxy. And he made it clear that the window for diplomacy is now closing. "We have exercised maximum restraint," the general was quoted as saying, "but our restraint should not be mistaken for weakness. The Zionists have made a grave miscalculation." They believe that by bombing Lebanon, they are weakening the axis of resistance. In reality, they have just unified the entire front and given us the legal and moral justification to respond with a force that they have never witnessed before. The question is, how long will the world sit by and watch? How long will the American taxpayer fund this madness?
So there's no question that Lebanon was included in the deal. And Israel went in and bombed the shit out of Lebanon and sabotaged the process straight away, and then said Iran is breaking the ceasefire because they're still bombing Israel. No, it was Israel who broke the ceasefire because Israel wants this war to go on. Israel wants to destroy the entire region, and it wants to destroy the United States in the process. And it's very much done that. I mean, in 1 month, Trump has lost every US base in the Persian Gulf. He's had 2 aircraft carriers damaged. He has lost control of the Straits of Hormuz and handed it over to Iran permanently. They will never relinquish control of that strait. He has run at least 2 botched missions. The men on the ground in Kuwait who got killed and the rescue mission, who I would suggest all got terminated. The official narrative of what happened is pretty obviously bullshit because we see no evidence to support it. Like I said, we don't even know the guy's name yet. And they could just make something up on one of those creative face sites. So, none of it makes any sense. We haven't heard from his family. We haven't heard from anything in the media. The story's just been kind of forgotten about and brushed under the rug, and we've moved on to other things because, there could be a ceasefire happening and Lebanon is attacking Israel and Iran broke the ceasefire and all sorts of crap they feed you. So none of it makes any sense. So Trump was backed into a corner, but Israel won't allow peace. Israel wants this to continue. It's crazy, folks. It's absolutely crazy. And some of the weapons and stuff America has been using as well, they've been actually using prism ammunition. Like they said, they're about freeing the people. And they're using prism ammunition, which is similar to flèche ammunition. It's ammunition that releases thousands of small metal shards, like ball bearing sort of things, and just rips through anything. It explodes in the air and just tears apart anything within range. It killed 21 Iranian children who were out playing sport in a field. Like I said, Israel bombed a synagogue the other day.
کتاب نماز متاسفانه حمله‌ای که دشمن آمریکای صهیونیستی شب گذشته اینجا انجام داده، یه منطقه‌ای که مسکونی هست، هیچ جای نظامی نیست. کنیسه‌های قدیمی رفینی هم که در اینجا بوده، در مجاورت در این منطقه که پشتر بنده می‌بینید تخریب شده. خودش گذشته از اینکه اقدام غیر انسانی و تروریستی هست. نشون دهنده این است که همه شعارهایی که رژیم صهیونیستی میده در دفاع از کلمیان که دروغ شرم‌آور بیشتر نیست و حتی برای اماکن مقدس یهودیان که حالا کنیسه‌هاست، اینجا تومارای تورات، اینجا نمونه‌هایی از کتاب‌های مقدس می‌بینید. حالا خود تومارای تورات که یه پوست حیوان حلال‌گوشت و با مرکب مخصوص با دست نوشته میشه، هنوز مدفون است.
Israel bombed a school dormitory. They bombed a cemetery the other day where people were there having a funeral. This was in Tyre. Israel is bombing Tyre, which is a 5,000 or 7,000-year-old city, and they bombed a cemetery, a funeral.
Mama!
Who does this? It's beyond comprehension. what Israel is doing and what they're bombing and how much pain they're bringing to Beirut. So, I mean, of course, Lebanon was part of the ceasefire arrangement. Iran called for a cessation of fighting on all fronts. Iran, Lebanon, and Gaza. And what's going on in Gaza? The treatment of the Palestinian prisoners in Gaza. And they're just still bombing tent cities. Just, it's insane what Israel is doing. You know, at this point, I mean, any politician, any media personality, any social influencer who is supporting Israel, still supporting Israel after all of this, is either a psychopath, a pedophile, or so grossly misinformed about things that they should not be in a position where they can influence anybody. Any politician that is still supporting Israel and what Israel is doing is either a psychopath or too stupid to hold a position of office. Israel is an absolute pariah, and it isn't just the Israeli government is the problem, it's the people of Israel who support this. I mean, some of the stuff we've seen over the last 2.5 years. There's been that Palestinian guy, quite popular, I can't remember his name, but I'll try to find a picture of him and put him up on screen. He's been just interviewing Israeli people for the whole time, and they've been just openly talking about, how much they support killing Palestinian children. It's an entire population of psychopaths. You know, if Trump doesn't get removed from office and some sanity isn't injected into the United States government, then it's all over for the United States. And the only other thing the United States could do to regain any shred of credibility would be to turn on Israel and say, hey, we recognize that you are sabotaging the peace process, so we're severing all ties with you. We're recognizing that you've dragged the United States into a war that cannot be won and that will end up destroying the United States, and in fact already has. It's destroyed global trade, it's destroyed everything. And you've got to look at the Iranian perspective of this as well. I mean, you might be looking at this and thinking, well, this is really terrible, what Iran is doing. I mean, we're not involved. Why is Iran shutting down all global trade when we're not involved in any of this? We're not involved in this massacre. Why are we being punished for it? And the thing is, Iran is just doing what it has to do when you look at it, because if the countries of the world are not standing up against the United States, and they're allowing the United States to just attack Iran illegally in this way. Western countries, they've allowed the slaughter of Gaza, they're allowing the slaughter of Lebanon, all the stuff that Israel and the United States have done. This has all been allowed by Western governments. It's all been supported by Western governments. The Western governments have gotten away with it because the people of the West have been too mindless and apathetic to actually stand up and call their governments out. Even when it gets found out that all of our governments are involved in this whole Epstein bullshit. All of our governments torture, rape, and cannibalize children. And we still haven't stood up. So, as much as innocent people are going to be suffering if Iran attacks the Gulf infrastructure, well, again, all of these Gulf countries are helping the United States attack Iran, a country which hasn't attacked anybody in 280 years, been accused of all sorts of stuff. All it's ever done is refuse to capitulate. She said, no, we want our oil, we want our sovereignty. And so therefore it's a terrorist state because it won't fall into line with the Jewish version of what the world should be, the Kabbalistic version of what the world should be, the Zionist version of what the world should be. So therefore it's a terrorist. It's crazy. But you've got to look at it from the Iranian perspective. I mean, I can. Okay, you've got these countries that your governments have done all this terrible shit to the world, and now you just found out they're all freaking pedophiles. And not only are they pedophiles, they're actually even worse than that. They deliberately torture, rape, and cannibalize children, and you still haven't stood up. So if we shut down the energy supply and destroy all your countries, well, what the fuck do you expect us to do? You're all sitting there watching them destroy ours, and half of you people are even cheering it on. So fuck you all, we'll just blow the whole thing up and we'll just sit here and we'll let China take over as the world superpower, which is what's going to happen. And I can totally understand their attitude, but what they probably don't understand is that this is exactly what the globalists want anyway. Well, maybe they do understand. But this is how it's all going to go down. I mean, the United States is not going to survive Donald Trump. It's been insane watching it happen, and it's insane watching the level of propaganda that's keeping it going. Unfortunately, he wasn't in hospital the other day as well. There was that little thing that he was in, was it Walter Reed Medical Center last Saturday or Friday or something like that. Apparently that turned out to be a hoax or whatever.
What we are seeing now is different. It is the inevitable physical and political collapse of an empire's figurehead. Just days ago, as the world's eyes were glued to the Iranian ceasefire that was meant to save the global economy, the White House had to scramble to deny that their 79-year-old commander-in-chief had been secretly rushed to Walter Reed Hospital.
A rumor storm rocks Washington as unverified claims around President Trump's health spread rapidly across social media platforms.
A wave of concern and speculation is sweeping across social media, with claims that U.S. President Donald Trump has been rushed to hospital.
We are going to begin with breaking news. President Trump is at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center tonight.
They called the photos and the motorcade sightings deranged liberal conspiracy theories. Really? This is the same White House that cannot explain why their president is now slathering thick orange-beige concealer over the deep vascular bruising that has bloomed across both of his hands and is creeping up his neck. They claim it's from too many handshakes or a daily aspirin. An aspirin so powerful, apparently it makes a man look like he's been losing a fight with a meat tenderizer. But this goes far beyond a bruise. Far. It goes to the heart of the American Constitution, to Section 4 of the 25th Amendment, which is now being whispered, and in some cases screamed, about in the halls of Congress as the only possible off-ramp for a man whose mental and physical state seems to be cratering at the exact moment he is trying to drag the world into a catastrophic war with Iran.
Who knows though? Still time. Maybe they will still take him out, because taking out Donald Trump is really the only way for the United States to save face in any of this. But even if they did that, I mean, I don't think they're going to survive this anyway. I mean, look at all the stuff that's happened on Trump's watch, the peace president, you know? It's insane. Lost all the US bases, collapsing the US economy, started an illegal war, going to lose the petrodollar, totally freed Iran and gave them control of the Straits of Hormuz. I did see another report as well. Like, there was that fake video that came out that had Professor Morandi talking about 500 ICBMs being delivered to Iran from North Korea. And that was definitely an AI video. That wasn't Morandi saying that. But then I haven't seen him denounce the video, which is kind of strange. But then I did see another news report claiming the same thing, that 500 ICBMs had been delivered to Iran They had been smuggled in there inside oil tankers. Apparently some tankers went through, some North Korean oil tankers, and they didn't contain oil, they actually contained missiles.
According to a flurry of reports from South Korea's National Intelligence Service, and corroborated by whispers from Western intelligence, Pyongyang has used a covert network of oil tankers masquerading as commercial vessels to ship not just standard ballistic missiles, but a stockpile of genuine intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, to Iran, including the fearsome Hwasong-18 solid-fuel ICBMs. Rumors are now circulating that these deliveries, estimated by some analysts to be as many as 500 missiles, are the real, hidden reason why Tehran has so brazenly refused Trump's ultimatum to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The war in Iran is no longer a regional conflict. It is a global axis of resistance counteroffensive.
So, who knows whether that's true or not? If it is true, then it changes the whole game because, like I said, it would mean that you could see a strike on American soil. I mean, you could from this anyway, because I think Trump is still crazy enough to want to be sending ground troops in there. And if Trump sends ground troops in, and you've got North Korean ground troops in there, and you've got possibly Russian ground troops in there as well, then you're going to find that if the United States actually kills any Russians or North Koreans, then that actually brings them into the war in earnest. I mean, they kind of are already, but it brings them in earnest, and North Korea and Russia both have ICBMs. They can strike cities in North America from where they are. They don't have to go anywhere. They could hit New York or LA or Washington or anywhere with a missile if they wanted to. They have the ability to do that. So, you know, it makes sense that they would want to bring them into the war, maybe do it properly. I mean, they want to collapse the United States. That's one of the big things they want to do through this. And, you know, a few missiles in a few strategic big cities would probably help the process along quite nicely. It would certainly be a wake-up call for the United States as well, because the people of the United States, they sit there and they cheer on war, a lot of them, but they've never been in a war. Unless they've served in the military and they've gone and attacked some other country and destroyed another nation, but they've never seen missiles and bombs raining down on their cities. Not in World War I, not in World War II, not in any major wars have they seen an air force dropping bombs on New York City or on Los Angeles or San Francisco or Washington or anything like that. The most they've had is Pearl Harbor, which was Hawaii, not really America. I mean, the United States just went to Hawaii 150 years ago and never left. They never conquered the place. They just sort of basically went there and set up base and said, hey, we own the place now. The Hawaiians think, well, hang on a minute. No, you don't. And all you've really done is fuck the place up since you've been here, so we wish you'd go away. But no, they just say, no, it's part of the United States. That's the way it is. So, you know, that's how it works. Busy day here on the ranch, folks. But anyway, I don't know what I was talking about before the bike attack. But, yeah, they want to collapse the United States, and maybe a few missiles will help, I don't know, but it's a very dangerous game, and it's going to really change the world. I mean, what has just happened? Because Israel, I mean, and we knew, like, some people expected Trump would say, well, okay, we'll just, you know, I'll give you another 10 days, because he's done this. He said, I'll give you 5 days, and then I'll give you 10 days, and then I'll give you 48 hours, and in the middle of it all, we've seen Israel just say, well, fuck this shit, we're just going to go and bomb them anyway and make sure they respond. Because Israel doesn't want all these delays. Trump's looking like he's kind of doing this, trying to avoid the inevitable. But Israel's just said, look, we're jack of this, we're just going to escalate now because we want to escalate. And Trump more and more looks like a little puppet being led around on a string by Israel. Israel is the one who's running this war, saying, no, it was the United States that did it. We're just here supporting them, when really it's Israel who's doing it, and Israel is pulling all the strings. They just want it to appear that Trump's out the front making the decisions when he's not. Trump's a puppet. He's doing what he's told. But I think he's losing the plot as well. I mean, he's changes what he says every 5 minutes. It's fucking unbelievable. He can say 2 or 3 different things and contradict himself several times in one 5 or 10 minute talk. It's just remarkable. His interviews, his speeches, it's insane. He's not making any sense at all. So it's every indication that they'll claim, cognitive dysfunction and all sorts of shit. Even got Alex Jones saying he wants to enact the 25th Amendment, I think, which is something to do with having him declared incompetent and getting him removed. Because he needs to be removed. But how do you do that? How do you do that? Most of the United States is completely against him. So many people are supporting Iran on X, and it makes sense that they are. And this guy kind of nails it, and he's an American. But yeah, he makes sense with this.
Why do so many people online seem to be supporting Iran? I want to see if I can shed some light on this in a purely academic and objective analysis. This may be the first case in recent history where the most evil villains in the world will face accountability for their actions, will see some consequences personally for what they've done. It's the child rapists, cannibals, and killers versus Iran. So that's what people are looking at and going, well, normally when there is a war, usually the rich get richer. Usually they get to keep the poppy fields and make the opiates that addict us, or usually they get to keep the oil storage or steal gold, or if 2 buildings are hit by planes, they get to keep the insurance money because they happen to insure it against terrorism right before it happened. Isn't that crazy? Normally they come off scot-free. They nearly crash the global economy, and then they get bailed out by our tax dollars. A worldwide pandemic breaks out. They get their pharmaceutical funding. They also get to destroy small businesses and transfer wealth way to the top. It just keeps happening again and again. This is the first time where their little pedo paradise is being leveled on a daily basis, where the land of chocolate and slavery is losing property values because it doesn't feel safe anymore. The entire Western establishment is struggling because they're going to have to start paying in Chinese yuan, and their petrodollar might actually get destroyed. Therefore, all of our prosperity will be gone. Now, to be clear, everyday people are going to suffer tremendously. There may be mass energy shortages. People may struggle just to get through daily life. But people are accustomed to facing the consequences for their actions. The everyday person does not have the money or the power to get out of jail if they grape a child, let's say, where the people in the e-files, even though it's all been exposed, they're not facing any consequences. Now they actually might. Now their data centers that they were planning to use to enslave all of us are getting hit by missiles. And all of us are going, okay, cool, sweet. Like, you have to understand that there is a balance of power that is actually shifting this time. I think this is the first time that true evil has actually lost control and is panicking because they know that something is coming for them. And everyday people are rooting for them to pay the price. Even if we pay the price too, it wouldn't be the first time that we've paid the price. It would be the first time for them.
You've got to look at this whole system and how it works. I've said for years and years, like 20 years, I've been saying that Palestine is the greatest moral dilemma we face in the world today. And even looking at Palestine, it's very difficult to deal with it by addressing Israel and attacking Israel. What you've got to understand is that Israel is a welfare state, and Israel is only able to do what it does because our politicians allow this to happen. That's how it gets away with all the stuff that it does. So we have to address the fact that it's our politicians that are allowing this to happen. The only reason our politicians are allowing it to happen is because we're not holding them to account for the war crimes they're committing. And if we're going to allow them to continue these war crimes, and they're going to allow this to happen to Palestine, then what do you think they have in store for us? And I've said so many times, if we don't address this, then the way of Palestine will be the way of the world. Look what's happening to the world right now, folks, with the shutdown of this system. The shutdown of all trade. The shutdown of the energy supply. Everywhere's turning into the Gaza Strip. And again, why would the Iranians be doing this? Well, they recognise how corrupt our governments are. And they recognise that it's on us. We're the ones who are allowing our politicians to do this. And you look at what's just happened recently, the release of the Epstein files. You notice how all the Iranians are calling this a war against the Epstein class. Even in that opening clip, that little rap clip, the new Lego clip about the ceasefire, they mentioned your politicians are pedophiles. See, this is what they're fighting against. The Iranian people haven't attacked another country in 280 years. Israel's been trying to push them into a war for the last 50 years. They've really been trying to push them into a war for longer than that. I mean, they overthrew the previous government, imposed a Shah, who was a brutal tyrant. Then when he got deposed, this was all part of the plan. But they've been abusing the country ever since. They've been prodding it. And it showed an incredible amount of restraint. And then you have the timely release of the Epstein files. Now this, about a year ago, we all found out that our politicians torture, rape, and cannibalise children. Where's the uprising? Where's the revolution? How many people in the Western world are addressing this? Even people like Candace Owens doing a great job of exposing Charlie Kirk being an inside job. Yeah, we know that. We're over that. Move on. Tucker Carlson doing a great job of exposing Israel as being the one who's destroying America. What about the whole fact that they're all pedophiles? They all torture, rape, and eat children. Why is the United States government still there now that the Epstein files have been made public? Now people know what they get up to. Oh, it's a terrible scandal. No, it's not a scandal. It's a crime. There is an international network of child rapists, torturers, cannibals who is running the world, running the Western world. Any government who isn't speaking about this, any media personality who isn't speaking about this, is part of the problem. The Iranians can see this and they go, oh my God, these people really are ruled by Baal. And so, okay, if you are going to bomb our energy infrastructure within Iran and put 93 million people in hardship, then all you people of the world who are allowing your criminal governments to bomb Gaza, genocide Gaza, to now genocide Lebanon, all funded by Western governments, as much as you want to blame Israel, Israel gets all its bombs from the United States, gets all its support from England, gets all its logistics from Pine Gap and stuff in Australia. Everybody's involved. Okay, so if all of you Western governments are going to allow this to happen and you're going to support this, and you're going to support them knocking out our energy supply, then we're going to knock out your energy supply, and that goes for the entire world. And we feel justified in doing so because none of you people are standing up about any of this. You just found out your government torture, rape, and eat children. What are you doing about it? You're joining the military and going fighting their wars and going and bombing Iran, a country that hasn't attacked anyone in 280 years. So you can see the Iranian perspective. What they may not understand is that by taking down the world's energy supply, they're actually playing directly into the hands of the Zionists anyway. The Zionists are still working to try to get Greater Israel, but if they don't get it, they don't care. They'll just move to Ukraine. They don't give a shit about Israel. They don't give a shit about Jews. Like I showed you before, they just bombed a synagogue in Tehran. What makes you think they give a shit about Jewish people? You know, Jewish people are hated around the world because of the actions of Benjamin Netanyahu. They've just condemned 10,000 Palestinians to death. It's insane, the stuff that they've done. They just found a bunch of containers in Israel as well, containing the bodies of 5,000 Palestinians, all who show signs of torture and having their organs removed. This is what Israel does. They kidnapped a 4 and 5-year-old boys the other day, arrested them, took them to a military prison. 4 and 5 years old. Who does this?
Yeah, okay. I don't do it. If you do it, the side. No, I go to his father. Walk. Side is the class. I want to search his father. If you do problem. Go away. Go away.
This is the fucking pariah that the United States is supporting. Like I said, anybody still supporting Israel, you're either a psychopath or a pedophile, or you're one of the most grossly misinformed people on earth. And if you're in a position of office, parliament, or media, or anything, you should be ashamed of yourself. You are a fucking disgrace. And that just shows the mentality of the West. It really does. It shows the mentality of the West. And why wouldn't Iran have closed the straits again? But the fact that they have, I mean, this probably means that the United States is going to go in there, they're going to hammer the shit out of Iran. Trump's going to come good on his psychopathic threats. Perhaps the people will stand up, perhaps they'll enact the 25th Amendment, have him arrested as incompetent, unfit for office, which he clearly is. How they could be claiming it's a victory for Trump is remarkable. It's one of the biggest backflips I've ever seen MAGA do.
All right, I'm not sure why we're all still having trouble with this. Let's try it again from the top. This is a victory for the U.S. because our goal from day one was for Iran to open the strait that didn't close till after we attacked, which was completely controlled by their military we had total dominance over. And it was a waterway that we could have taken over, but instead asked for help that we didn't need, but we'll remember that our allies did not give us. All because of the negotiating power of a FIFA Peace Prize recipient's threat to annihilate a civilization in order to liberate them from a regime that changed, which was not our goal, but we will take credit for, from an old man who hates us to his younger son who hates us for those reasons and that we killed his father. And while it is not clear the status of Iran's nuclear capabilities that we obliterated last year, but were going to be a problem in 2 weeks, one thing is for sure. They now have more money and control of the strait than they had when they made the old deal that we ended because it was terrible. Now, I think that is enough about authoritarian propagandistic regimes. Does anybody have any questions about the Trump Library golden statue?
I mean, everything was flowing fine before Trump kickstarted this war. Every base in the Persian Gulf is gone. The straits are now permanently under Iranian control. There's probably hundreds and hundreds of soldiers that have been killed, US soldiers, 2 aircraft carriers down, 2 C-130s, a bunch of helicopters. Israel is being obliterated. The entire Persian Gulf oil infrastructure is being obliterated. After the ceasefire was broken, Iran also bombed the east-west pipeline in Saudi Arabia, which cuts off any oil being pumped across to the other side of the country so they can ship it out of those straits. So it's just playing into the Zionist hands. How anybody could see this as a victory for the United States, I don't know. They've lost the petrodollar. Now that Iran is in control of the straits, it's only going to accept payment in Chinese yuan or in cryptocurrency. It's openly said that. Trump was even saying that, yeah, we've made a deal and I'm going to have half control of it. I mean, Iran's going to have half and the United States are going to have half, and it's a beautiful thing. We're going to make $1 million from every ship that goes through. He actually put out that public statement. I mean, the guy's fucking delusional. He's completely delusional. He doesn't know what he's saying from one minute to the next. And Israel are distancing themselves more and more from the United States because their plan is to destroy the United States and to set themselves up as a regional superpower. If that fails, then they've got Ukraine, they've got South America, they'll set China up as a regional superpower, which it's on the verge of doing now already. I mean, that might be an easy way for them to do it. Just let China take over as a regional superpower because everything will be running on the Chinese yuan. It'll be the petro yuan instead of the petrodollar. And let the United States crumble. And when they're set up in Ukraine, they'll be part of the One Belt, One Road initiative. They can infiltrate their culture into China, and they can undermine China as well, the way they've undermined the West. So that's another backup plan that they've got. I mean, there's no stopping these people. I actually suspect that the Jewish bloodline, they say they have some DNA, I don't know. Some people say, well, there's Ashkenazi DNA. Some people will say this is Khazar DNA. I would suggest it's actually Neanderthal DNA. I think that's why they have no empathy whatsoever. And I think the ancient war between Neanderthal and Homo sapiens is still waging. It's just that Homo sapiens don't know it. And the Neanderthals have bred with the Homo sapiens, stolen a lot of women from Ukraine and the Balkans and Eastern Europe. A lot of very, very beautiful women in that area, which is why a lot of Israeli women are so beautiful, because they are of Eastern European stock. Brought there, probably their parents brought there as sex workers or whatever, kidnapped, whatever. And there's a lot of that goes on. So they've kind of bred this race which is in between. And that's what's being used to fool people. But I don't think they are truly human in the sense of what it is to be human, in the respect of human meaning Homo sapiens. I don't think these people are Homo sapiens. Yeah, crazy, but anyway. But look, there's so much going on, folks, and it's not over yet. This is simply the calm before the storm. Even were the ceasefire to happen, and it was only for 2 weeks, and what the fuck is that? Who wants a 2-week ceasefire? The only reason the United States was calling for a 2-week ceasefire is because it's running out of weapons. It needs a chance to regroup. And Israel can't continue with these bombing raids, missile raids. I mean, they're up to, I think, wave 100 now, missile waves against Israel. And they just can't keep doing it. So that's what the ceasefire was about. Them saying that Iran was begging for a ceasefire. No, they've said they don't want a ceasefire the whole time. The only reason they considered this one was because it was a deal that was brokered by Pakistan, and America had agreed to use Iran's 10 points as a basis for negotiation. And that obviously included cessation of hostilities on all fronts: Iran, Lebanon, and Palestine. Israel broke that immediately. So Iran now says, well, they've severed all ties with US completely as far as negotiations go. And Pakistan has now said it has withdrawn as a potential mediator in this conflict and has now sided with Iran and says it will support attacks against the Zionist state. Every country should support attacks against the Zionist state. Absolutely. Israel is a pariah, folks. If Israel wasn't there, we wouldn't have any war in the world. You might say, well, Israel wasn't there for World War I and World War II. No, but World War I and World War II were created by the same people in order to create the state of Israel. This is all very well documented. These people have undermined every single culture they've ever been involved in. That's why they have been kicked out of 109 countries 1,030 times in the last 2,000 years. Because of this voracious supremacist ideology that they espouse and live by. They only support each other. They always maneuver themselves into positions of influence, and they only support each other. And they make sure that all positions of influence are filled by their people. And then they control the direction of humanity. And that direction is always about victimhood and war and war and war. Always about slaughter, always about killing children under the guise of protecting the children. Like Iran, I mean, the people are being brutalized, so we need to go in and kill the people. What the fuck is that all about? It's ridiculous. You know, Iran has the moral high ground here. Nobody at all, nobody in the world has a problem whatsoever in seeing Israel being bombed to smithereens. Iran definitely has the moral high ground. But like I said, even doing what they're doing, they're playing into the Zionist agenda. You know, if people want to stop what's happening, the best thing we could do as people of the West is to reclaim our countries, reclaim our governments. The people of the United States, you're armed to the teeth. Why are you allowing a group of pedophiles, child rapists and child cannibals to dictate your reality and to lead you into this conflict? It's fucking absurd. Like I said, that's what the Iranians see. So, now you put all this together, folks. Who's to blame? Well, we are. It's always been us. And it is us who is to blame if we allow this to go any further. If America collapses out of all this, who's to blame? The people of the United States. These people are armed to the teeth. They had the First and Second Amendment. They could take their government back any time they want to do it. The United States military, they could refuse to go and fight in this illegal war and die in this illegal war for Israel, and they could turn their attention to the Zionist parasites and liars who have infiltrated and occupied the United States government, and they could reclaim their government. They could come back to the United States not as mutineers, but as the Roman forces who installed the first Caesar in Rome. Caesar was supposed to be someone who freed the Romans from corruption. Of course, he didn't relinquish power after that, and it sort of fucked up, but you know, everybody can see how corrupt the United States is. Everyone can see how wrong this war is. Everyone can see what a pariah the state of Israel is. And we have an opportunity here to fix this problem. And if the people of America don't stand up and fix this problem, and the people of Israel don't stand up and hold their government to account, then the people of the world are just going to view them the way they deserve to be viewed. Because this should not be happening. It should not be allowed to happen. This is not what America is. America has just turned itself into a little upstart nation. It was a great superpower, but now it just looks like a little upstart bully, 250 years old, trying to bully nations that are thousands of years old into capitulating this little podunk religious mentality that these psychopaths in the Middle East are pushing in their occupation of Palestine. Hell of a time to be alive, folks. Hell of a time to be alive. But hey, anyway, the purpose of this video is to just let you know that, yeah, they've just taken this to the next level, and it's going to continue, and that most of the world is probably going to be in for a reasonably hard time. As we've been saying, this is going to happen. Well, now it's confirmed. They've just taken it to the next level. And the next week, or even the next 48 hours, is going to be crucial. There's even a chance a lot of the internet could go down through this as well. They may cut that cable in the Straits of Hormuz, which won't take down the entire internet, but it will definitely take down a good chunk of it. And yeah, so stay safe through all this, folks. Walk the path of the warrior. Face infinity without flinching. I'd love to be able to just come on and do a random joking video with you. Actually, there's one I'm going to post It's from 2018. There's a show I did in 2018 called Everything is Awesome. And it was a show that was just, it was a radio show, and it was like 50 minutes of total sarcasm. And someone sent me a link to it the other day and said, hey, Max, you should repost this because it's very relevant. It was 2018. It was during Trump's first term. And yeah, it's still pretty relevant. So maybe I'll post that in the next day or two as well, just for a bit of a laugh, bit of a break from these almost daily updates of the downfall of the world. But hey, I just want people to be aware of what's happening. I want you to stay safe. I want you to prepare. And I don't want you to be shocked with some of the things you're going to see. The entire balance of power is shifting so quickly, so rapidly. Like, even if this was to all stop today, even if Trump was to be assassinated or die, or they were to fake his death or whatever, then, and everything was to start again today, well, it's still done. The United States has lost all its bases in the Middle East. The petrodollar's gone. Iran's never, ever going to relinquish control of the Straits of Hormuz, no matter what happens. And trading through there is going to be done in Chinese yuan. So that's the end of the petrodollar. So that is the end of the American empire. And that's just the way it's going to happen. And that's unavoidable, even if it all starts moving again today, and even if Trump was, I don't know, suicided or terminated or whatever, taken to Walter Reed Medical Center. Even if any of that was to happen and it was to all stop today, well, you got the all the bases gone. You've got a lot of the major power plants and oil manufacturing and refining facilities in Saudi Arabia gone. Saudi Arabia can't really help either because of what Trump said the other day. When Trump said, you know, Saudi Arabia was kissing my ass. This is a culture thing. I mean, you can't say that about the Prince of Saudi Arabia. It's unreal. Like, in Middle Eastern culture, this is a terrible, terrible thing to say. I mean, if you put a newspaper on the ground in Saudi Arabia, if you put a newspaper on a seat because the seat is wet, you know, sometimes you'll put a newspaper down to sit on a seat or whatever. If that newspaper has got a picture of the Saudi prince on it and you sit on it, you can be arrested for putting your butt that close to a picture of the Saudi prince. And here you got Trump saying in international television that the Saudi prince is literally putting his lips to Trump's posterior. Now, if the Saudi prince jumps when Trump says jump and helps when Trump says help, the rest of the Arab world is going to look at him and go, well, I guess you do kiss Trump's ass because you jump when he says jump, so I guess you're his little slave and his little go-to boy. So, I mean, this is the situation that Trump created. So he's definitely worked to isolate the United States. This whole thing has been about isolationism and destroying America's reputation and destroying America as the world reserve currency and basically collapsing the United States. The controlled demolition of the American empire. That was a book by Jeff Berwick, yeah? I haven't read his book. Sorry I haven't read your book, Jeff. But that's exactly what's happening. This is a controlled demolition of the United States and of the entire global infrastructure. And like I said, even if the Iranians, not just so, it's okay. So, it's okay. You see them every morning. What are you doing? Funny little dog. What are you barking at, Sol? What are you barking at? Hey? What is there to bark at? What are you doing? Hey, Nacho, what are you barking at too, huh? What's going on with you guys? Oh, you're very sweet. Yeah, I completely forgot what I was talking about. But I guess, yeah, what I've been trying to say for the whole show is just prepare. Everything's changing. Everything's changing. This is designed to be this way. And this is just how they're going to go about it. And The world is going to be a very, very different place in a few months from now. A year from now, you're probably not even going to be able to recognise it. I hope we don't lose communication through all of this. I hope I'm still able to come on and talk to people and communicate. Who knows? I mean, I hope that I can still get to Liberpulco. I hope that I can still travel the way I'm used to travelling. That doesn't look very promising though. So, oh, these dogs. They know all these people and there's no reason for them to bark, but they just do it anyway. I think probably because I'm here. But anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there for now, folks. Suffice to say, folks, that America is not going to be able to extricate itself from this war. And if it actually does manage to do so in any sort of reasonable way, I mean, there's a chance Trump may still attempt to do so just to try to regain face in some way. But if that happens, Israel will never let him do it. Israel is never going to let America back away from this conflict. Israel wants this big war, East against West. It's always wanted it. That's why it's framed it so much as a religious war. But if America does manage to extricate itself from this situation in some way, then that's when you're going to see this false flag attack happen. You'll see something happen in the United States designed to shift public opinion and to drag the United States back into war with renewed vigor, because that's what Israel wants. So the closer we come to anything that even resembles peace, the closer we come to Israel staging a false flag attack in the United States. We've already looked at the options, possibly the Golden Gate Bridge. I've heard that the Golden Gate Bridge is actually closed at the moment because it needs repairs. Possibly it even needs rebuilding. Apparently there's some sort of sag happening in the middle of the bridge and apparently it's closed. So wouldn't that be a perfect thing to sacrifice in order to prolong the war? Just keep a lookout for all of this sort of stuff, folks. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Thank you for joining me on this report. The same thank yous that I always give to everybody. Thank you to the people who leave me kind comments, who send me kind emails. Thank you to the many interview requests. I'm sorry I don't get to answer a lot of emails. I really do get a lot, folks, and it becomes very cumbersome, my email box. Plus doing these videos is very, very time consuming. And I've actually done this video, I've actually done 3 videos in the last 3 days, but things have changed so dramatically over each one of those days that I actually scrapped the last video and I've moved on to the next day to do it again. And then by the time I've edited that video, by the end of the day, the world's changed again. It's just crazy, absolutely insane how quickly things are moving. But yeah, thank you to anybody who sends me kind words. Thank you to anybody who sends me kind messages. Thank you to all the people who've sent me messages and wanted to use the Tesla machine. I've been trying to hook you all up with my nephew, and there's another lady in Melbourne who also has a machine. I've been forwarding a few people to her. And that's about all I have to say, I think, folks. Of course, thank you to anybody who's ever made a contribution to the website. I know it's very difficult at the moment, and that makes me appreciate it even more. But yeah, thank you for those people who can. I mean, you are the guys that have kept this show in the air for so long. And hey, let's just see where the world goes from this point, folks. Anything is possible at this stage. It's just nuts. And I never know what to expect from one day to the next. But you know, this collapse is going to continue and things are going to get very, very difficult for a lot of people. We're going to see the food chain and the supply chain breaking down very dramatically over the next few months, folks. So please stay safe through all this. And hey, enjoy the show. This is why you've got to remove all stake in the outcome, and you've got to be prepared to just walk whatever path it is that reality lays out for you, because pretty soon we ain't going to be in this same world that we're in now. Things are shifting very, very rapidly, folks, and it's anybody's guess as to which way we're going to go. But hey, I'm just going to enjoy the ride as best I can. I have no stake in this society anyway, so I guess that comes from being on the road most of my life. You know, I'm kind of lucky that I've lived such a transient sort of lifestyle that I'm not really attached to too much in too many ways. And it's interesting because I miss my home and I am attached to some of my little personal things and some of my creature comforts that I've had in life. And I've had to kind of let go of them all and pretty much lose them all. And I do miss them, even though they were just kind of little things. So I imagine how difficult the coming months and years are going to be for some people who are so dependent upon those creature comforts and who identify themselves by their own creature comforts. So time to let all that go, folks. It's time for you to really step into the path of what it means to be human and take control of your own future. I'd love to see the world just rise up and get rid of this pedophile class. But if we don't, well, then really it's on us, isn't it? We created this whole situation. I mean, I've gone through it so many times. You know, we are the ones who have allowed this to happen simply by our failure to call things for what they are and to stand up for ourselves and to obey the dictates of pedophiles and criminals who we know are pedophiles and criminals, and yet we still do what they say. And because we chose to do that, well, this is the obvious result of those actions, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, enjoy the show, folks. It's going to be a hell of a ride. Hell of a ride. I'm kind of glad I'm here for the big event. But anyway, I'll let you go. I'll look forward to speaking to you again soon, folks. Please take very good care until then. In Lakesh. What are these little dogs doing? Nacha, what do you got over there? You got a bone or something you're chewing on? Just laying in the sun, having a great time. It's good to be a dog, isn't it?
Nah. You tweet another threat, another fake attack, but we all know why your portfolio's flat. You need the market to drop, need the oil to crash, then you buy at the bottom, flip it for cash. You don't want a war, you want the price to fall. Fake news on Truth Social, that's your only call. You scream, open this straight, but why though? So your rich friends short and watch the money flow. Fake tweet, fake news, fake hope, fake clock. Your whole game's a joke, make it stop. You crash the world, then you buy the dip. Fake war, fake tears from your fake lip. You ain't a president, you're a traitor in disguise. Fake fear in people's eyes, that's your prize. Iran's still here, the strait's still closed. Fake clown exposed, decompose. You give a few hours, fake threat. You ain't a leader, you're a loser with debt. You want the market to bleed so you can drink it, but your own people sing while you sit and think it. Should I tweet again? Should I make them cry? Bro, your whole economy's a beautiful lie. You hit Iran, the whole region goes dark, then your own ship stops. Who lights the spark? Fake power, fake muscle, fake bite, fake bark. Your best was 2 bridges in a city park. Now sit on your throne made of gold and shame. You played with fire, now watch your own flame. Fake hope, fake dope, fake rope, fake slow. You're choking on the lies, no way to cope. Fake allies, fake cries, fake skies, fake lies. One tweet from you and your own empire dies. You try to scare us for a market swing. Now watch your whole world burn. No song to sing. Fake trader, fake president, fake king. Happy Tuesday. Nobody clapped for anything.
You think all this can last? There's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne. You and your friends better batten down the hatches, because when it hits, you're all gonna wonder how you ever thought you could live so large and leave so little